Hey, what's up guys? Talon back at the video. I am filming this video of the two monitors that I have on my my iPhone 12. So it's recording at 4K 60, but the quality is not going to be very good. I am holding this as well with my hand, so I'll do my best to try and give you guys a kind of a clear picture, and I'm going to kind of try and show the differences between the two panels. I've got them both set up on Amazon basic stands, so they're not on their normal stand they come with. I don't really like gaming monitor stands. I think they look a little ridiculous. So typically I mount them on these Amazon basic stands, and they support technically up to 24-inch monitors. They'll do a 27-inch as long as you have them in the horizontal. You can still tilt and raise and all that stuff, but you can't go up to portrait mode with this because it doesn't have enough height for you to swivel the monitor all the way around like that. So you are stuck with just horizontal, but typically I leave them, if I'm going to be gaming on them, they're going to be like this. And then I was using a 24-inch before, but so that's why they look a little bit different. They don't look like the normal monitors. So, but they are what they say what I'm saying they are. You can see this is the Alienware. It's got that nice there's the logo. It's kind of like I think they call it lunar or shadow or something like that, but it's a nice back. The build quality on the Dell is phenomenal. This is just a super nice monitor. And then I've got the LG 27950-B, and then this is the Alienware 2721D, and the LG is it's got that lighting ring around the back. The Alienware has some RGB lighting as well. You can control the on screen, and then I think you can download some sort of Alienware software or some sort of on-screen control type thing as well that you can do. So both are RGB if you're into that. I do have a little bit on for the LG, and then I haven't messed with it on the Dell / Alienware. But in terms of panels, they're both LG Nano IPS panels. The LG obviously over here is a 4K versus a 1440p panel on 27 inches. This is 144 hertz with an overclock mode to 160. It is set to 160 right now. And then you have 240 hertz on the Alienware monitor. As far as how they look like identical. Once you kind of set them up, I haven't color calibrated these in any way, but if you kind of set them up, they look nearly identical. In terms of quality and the way the monitor looks, I feel that and I don't just feel like the Dell looks good, but the Alien or the LG just looks crispier with text and icons and things like that on the desktop, web pages, things like that. Obviously, it's 4K, it's higher resolution, it's got a higher PPI, so it is better looking. But when you look at these two pictures on the desktop, they're both, it's a 4K image, but they're both super clear looking. Like, I can't tell the difference. I mean, they look identical. When you start to see the difference, it's kind of when you kind of come down and you look at the icons. So for me, and it's going to be hard to show this in video, but for me, the icons, you can kind of see jaggies. At least that's what I see when I'm looking at it. You may not, it's not going to translate to video, but then when you look at the 4K version, it's a much cleaner look. Now I do have these set. Let's go to the settings here, and we'll turn them both off. And actually, I gotta change the display settings on this. We're gonna change that to 100%. There we go. So now they should be exactly the same. That's sort of what it looks like. Again, filming this through an iPhone is not going to translate as well, but that's kind of the difference. Now, when you look at them side by side, yeah, the Dell is it's a little grainier looking, and then you go and you look at the LG, and it's, you know, it's clear, it's crisper, it's 4K. So it's 4K versus 1440p. If, you know, we should expect that, you know, one is going to look better than the other. I had my wife look at them side by side, and she kind of said, "Can you see the difference?" She kind of looked at me and goes, "You're crazy." And that may be what some people think. Now, when you get into games, though, the difference is very apparent. On the desktop, it's a little bit less. You know, at first glance, some people may not notice. But when you're in games, you definitely notice. So there is some truth to some people saying, well, you don't really notice it on the desktop. You do, but it's not as apparent. But once you get into a game and you're playing at 4K versus 1440p, the difference, especially in some games, is easily noticeable. Like right away, it's crazy. But they're both great. I would have no trouble recommending either of these monitors to you as long as the price is equivalent, essentially. It's just going to come down to what do you prefer. Do you want a little bit higher pixel per inch and higher clarity, a better resolution? Or do you prefer having super high refresh rate? And that's going to kind of just, it's going to be personal preference and how you use your monitor. Let's pull these up. So over here you got the Alienware. Their asking price and the MSRP on it is $1,099, and then the LG panel, their MSRP is $799, and that's what it is selling for, and it's actually in stock right now at Best Buy for that $799 price. I recommend you buy it from Best Buy. I purchased it from both places. I had an issue with my first LG. It had to go back, and that was a nightmare. I do not recommend you purchase through LG.com. Their customer service is lacking. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's lacking. I purchased it through Best Buy. Monitor's perfect. I also opted to take their replacement plan. You can see it there at $119. If I have any issues with this monitor, it's not going to go back to LG. It's going to go straight to Dell through or to Best Buy, and I'll deal with the issues through them, and it should make it a little bit better for me. Refocus this up a little bit. As far as like specs, obviously, you know the differences in resolution and the refresh rate, but the colors, I should probably go the other one. Kind of click on the specs here. The Dell says it's a 10-bit panel, and I think that, let's see if we can find where they actually put that. I'm sure it's somewhere in here, but it claims to be a 10-bit panel. Now, it is a 10-bit panel, but not at 240 hertz. There's a rumor going around that they're going to change that through DSC, and it's going to be able to use the 10-bit all the way up to 240 hertz. But for now, you can only use it at 144 hertz, where the LG, you can use 10-bit through the entire refresh rate range at 4K, and you get 10-bit even at 160 hertz, so you don't lose that. Now, to get the 160 hertz update, it's not actually advertised on the website. They just released it last week, and in order to get it, you are going to have to do connect the cable, the USB cable that comes with the monitor, and you're going to have to do the on-screen software update. It takes about 30 minutes to complete, and then you'll have the updated firmware for the monitor, which will include the overclock option in the on-screen display and give you 160 hertz. Disclaimer with that, it's not perfect right now. There are some issues. As first showstopper is the DisplayPort cable that comes with the monitor does not work with the 160 hertz update. It doesn't work at all. So I'm actually going to load this up into 4K for us, and I'll play this in the background. Let me do that really quickly. Give me a second here, guys. So it doesn't work. The cable just doesn't work. Luckily, I have extra HDMI or DisplayPort cables, one that's super high quality, and I tested that one, and that fixed my issue. Good, that's plugged in. I don't know how loud this is going to be, so we're just going to turn that down just a little bit. All right, now let's see if we can get these to play at the same time or close to it, right? So they both should be at the beginning. Cool. Click, click. And we'll kind of look at these. So they're both playing the 4K, and both look obviously really good. The 4K panel looks, you know, you're not going to see through camera. It just is a little bit clear, but I mean, it's so minimal that I can't see you being unhappy either way you go with either of these panels. Obviously, you have, if you pause it and you look at the details on things, the LG at 4K has, you know, just has more detail. It's just that little extra bit of sharpness. But they're just so close that I think either one you would go with, I don't see how you'd be unhappy. And they look, like the images look, the colors, everything on these monitors are identical because, again, they're LG nano IPS panels. The only difference I see in these panels is the resolution. But either one you go with, I think you're going to be happy, you know? As a gamer, I think you're really going to enjoy it. Now, again, where I notice the big difference between the panels is when you get into a game and you're actually playing at 4K versus the 1440p. That's where I think I notice the biggest difference between the two screens. So going back to that cable, I used my my own DisplayPort cable and it fixed the issues, and so now I'm at 160 hertz on the LG, and you can kind of see here. I'll pop it up on the screen here. If you go to settings, you can see your refresh rates are at 160 at 4K. Turn that off. HDR is not being used right now. This is just standard definition. They're both just really, really good screens. I mean, they look almost identical. It's crazy how close they are in image quality. I'm actually gonna just do something really quick here. We'll play one more video, and I'm actually gonna turn on display HDR for both of the panels. Let me freak out the screens. All right, so HDR is being enabled on both of these. It looks like, just like, if you look at them, now the panels look different. And I think that's, yeah, this is definitely, it's more, it looks a lot warmer on the LG. Make sure it's on both of them than it does on the Dell. The Dell doesn't lose its coolness. I had them both set to cool. Yeah, it's on both of them according to the display settings here. It looks like LG now overrides whatever profile you had. And it kind of, there's 4K, HDR, and 4K. So we'll go to full screen on both of these. We'll see how much this translates into the video. I kind of looked at them the other night and I didn't really see too much of a difference. I'm actually going to turn that off. And you can see, if you look, you kind of see like this bleeding. It's not super noticeable, and then you kind of get it a little bit on the LG. That's just the local dimming. So if you were to, basically, if you were to turn this off, you can see it down here. As you move, see how I'm moving the mouse around, you can see those local dimmings. Because it has limited local dimming, edge lit, and so as you move the mouse around, you're gonna get that bloom, and then you don't get it quite as bad, it looks like, on the LG. Even though it has local dimming, it's not nearly as bad. All right, we'll see if we can get these to play at similar times. So now I really see, in this video at least, I can really see a difference in the resolution of the two. Obviously with the LG just looking a little bit crispier. Seeing just like a little bit more detail in the image. Something that you don't notice on as much on the Dell. You don't get as much detail. And It's definitely not in all the scenes. Some of the scenes look better than others. Like right there, I can definitely see a lot more detail in the 4K image. It's just that extra bit clear, I guess you could say. Just a little bit, like right there, definitely I can see it. Definitely there. But they both look so good. I mean, there's really, really good looking monitors. Either one I would be happy with. Definitely there as well. I can see the difference in the way the gold looks. It's just more detailed. It's got more pixels there. Again, you can see it's higher resolution on the LG. They both look great though. I mean, these are both amazing panels. You guys, I showed them in the gaming already. This is what they look like on the desktop. Just beautiful panels. I'm probably gonna end up keeping both, to be perfectly honest, depending on what I'm doing for the day. If I want to definitely see the difference there. Wow. If I want to game at 4K high refresh rate, if I'm wanting 240 refresh rate and a little bit lower resolution, then I'll go with the Dell for the day. Kind of keep them on my desk. Probably going to keep them similar to this setup right here because I can kind of look at both of them. I kind of had to move the lamp to the corner, but you know, it's not that bad. It's an office. Who cares? I have to readjust the whole mouse setup and everything because right now it's kind of just thrown together. Probably get a wireless mouse, to be honest. So that a lot of that haloing that it's showing, that white back, I'm not seeing that in the video. I think when let me see if I can kind of pull it back up in this video. So if I look at this on here, you can really see like that bleed. You don't see it as much natively, like with your own eyes looking at it. See how it lights that up because of that in the middle. It lights up those LEDs. And then if you watch the LG, it doesn't do that. So actually, sorry, it does. It did it right there. Now you can kind of see the LG. It did a little bit when I moved it around. But yeah, both look great. I actually haven't tested out the Dell with HDR in games yet, so maybe I'll do a video on that. And I know that I can record HDR content now with the Shadow Play. It will allow you to record HDR. So if you have an HDR monitor, I should be able to upload that to YouTube, and then you guys can play it back. So now you can kind of see that if you leave HDR on the desktop, that's definitely a warmer image than what the Dell looks. It's not a lot, but it's definitely warmer. I like that the Dell maintains its kind of cool image that I prefer at all times, where once I go to HDR, it seems like it changed the profile. Now I may be able to change that going into the OSD, but I would prefer that it just kind of stays the way I had it set up and then just add it in. But you know, maybe that's just the way it works. I'm not really sure. That's about it, guys. That's kind of a comparison of the two. As far as build quality, I'm gonna give it to the Dell. The Dell has better build quality in my opinion. It feels less cheap. It feels a little bit more rigid. I thought if you look at the pictures online, I'm sure some people have looked at the pictures online, but the back of the Dell, the Alienware, it looks extremely thick. It's not. You can see right there. Look, I mean, look how thin. It does get a little bit thicker here, but it's not a lot. I mean, it's still a very narrow panel. So don't get deceived by those pictures. It's not some big, ridiculously thick panel. It's definitely not. I got it and I was like, why would they put that online? It just looks horrid. So if you look at those pictures on Amazon or on their website, it makes it appear like it's extremely thick. And what's nice about it is actually the power supply is built into the panel, which I really like that Dell does it. They did that on my old 1440p as well. So you just have to plug in the cable. It does have a fan, but I can't hear the fan. So both of these actually have fans, and I can't hear it at all. So don't let that deter you. This is not a noisy fan. You can't hear it, but apparently it has a fan inside, and I wouldn't know that unless I had read that online. Again, same thing with this. Apparently it has a fan. I wouldn't know that unless I'd read that online. You cannot hear the fans on these at all. When you're gaming, nothing. I've never heard the fan when I'm sitting at idle on desktop. It's nothing annoying. That the early like Asus and Acer X27, those 44 or 4K 144 hertz panels had really noisy, annoying fans. This is not the case here. And I think that they're noisy and loud because they have full array backlighting, which gets very hot and has to be actively cooled. This is not the issue here, so you don't have to worry with that. Again, I like the built-in power supply. The LG does not have a built-in power supply. It does use an external power source. I don't really like that. The cable is also very short. Not the cable that comes from the brick to the monitor is short, not the brick to the wall. Why they did that? Who thought that was a good idea? Just it's crazy. I mean, it's not like my desk is that high off the ground from the monitor to the. It's very, very close. So they made it extremely short. Did they not think that people were going to put these computer monitors on a desk? I don't. Sometimes I really don't understand engineering decisions and how they make these decisions. I also don't like that the included cable doesn't work with the 160 hertz mode. I had to get, I had to use one of my own cables, which was about $16, $17 on Amazon, to make the 160 hertz mode work. If you're going to release the firmware, at least make sure that it works with the included hardware. So overall, I like the LG better because I like 4K and the 160 hertz mode, but I really like the Dell as well, with its higher refresh rate and build quality, better warranty, direct through the manufacturer, and but I don't like the price. I paid $733 with this on Amazon during that crazy deal last week. Retail is $1,099. Not worth at $1,099. I would get this monitor all day at $799 and enjoy this. You can grow with this monitor at 4K, 160 hertz. GPUs will only continue to get faster. But if you can get this monitor at $733 or $800 or less, I can see an argument that this is also an amazing monitor. And I don't think that either way you go, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to have an excellent gaming experience on both. I've tested both. They both are 1 millisecond monitors, beautiful colors. You can use this for professional work as well because they cover most of the color scales on both of them. You got all of your color coverages are there. They're both, contrast is probably equal, about 1,000 to 1, so contrast is acceptable and typical of your IPS panel. And they're both extremely bright monitors. I have them both set to 40%. They get stupid bright and then very bright with HDR 600 mode. They get pretty bright for HDR content if you want to play a little bit of games with that. That's about it, guys. I like them both. It's really hard to say which one I would recommend, or be like me and just get both. And the cool thing is the fact that they're both the same panel made by LG. The panels look identical. There's no bezels. The way they look is like perfect. So if you want to do a monitor setup from two different brands, this is the way to go because they look like the same monitor with different refresh rate. And this LED can be turned off. So this also has an LED. It's been turned off. You can turn that LED off, and then you're going to have kind of the perfect setup. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this is helpful to some people out there. I'll catch you in the next one.